This is looking west on Canal Street, right towards the Holland Tunnel. And this is like in the area of Chinatown. It's kind of like a central location since a number of main roads converge on Canal Street. And here we have 6th Avenue. We're looking north, and that very tall black building, that's where Penn Station is. And now we're looking east on Canal Street. This is where Chinatown is. And it's the whole length of Canal Street. This is where Chinatown starts. There aren't as many Chinese establishments here, but you'll see as we progress towards the eastern part of Canal Street, a lot more Chinese establishments are there. This is just to give an indication of what's around here. A lot of development has occurred at this beginning area of Chinatown. And you can see even here, more development is occurring. And we have a beautiful park here, the Albert Capsuto Park. That's one great thing about New York. They really try to have open space because New York is just overflowing with concrete and buildings. So one of the things the city has tried to do over the years is have open space for people just to enjoy green trees, green grass, just an open space for people to sit back and relax. And a little bit further along Canal Street, more into Chinatown, you can see the area here, it's in a state of development. There's a lot of these old buildings here that are primed and ready to go for redevelopment. A lot of times it's who's gonna sell. Now, we can see an example here, right on Wooster and Canal, of this new revitalization of a building. And it's just amazing when you see this revitalization going on. And there, that brick building is another example. That was formerly a parking lot, and they made it into this beautiful building. Now, of course, there's zoning restrictions here. They want to keep the same idea of what Chinatown is like in the buildings on Canal Street, so they don't want 50-story buildings on Canal Street. But still, keeping in line with what's going on, they're doing a beautiful job. It took them forever to use that parking space. It was just left empty for the longest time. And even the revitalized white building here, just a great job they did there too. Now, a lot of times for real estate in New York, it takes many years of planning and then development to finally get something off the ground. And so you're taking a big gamble. By the time, well, when you have the idea, by the time you end up completing everything, it might be years later. So you don't know if the economy is going to be good or bad. So you're taking a gamble. So a lot of these developers in New York are very well capitalized because they have to be. You have the city, you have the quirks of business that are going on against them, for them. So a lot of times when they're doing these developments, they have put a lot of planning in. They try to not be over leveraged because that's one of the big problems. That was formerly one of the big problems with a lot of New York developers, but more recently they've learned their lesson so far. This generation, maybe the next generation, they'll learn their lesson too. Here at Mercer Street and Canal. You can see all the buildings here in the distance. Really, they've done a great job on Canal Street. It's really amazing seeing everything here. Like on weekends, there's like merchants all over here. Just beautiful buildings here. Now, we're looking a little bit more on Mercer Street, and a lot of the restaurants have done a great job of putting these outdoor areas for people to sit on. And it's about 72 degrees on November 8th, on Sunday, and it's just incredible. And the area we're looking at is, we're looking at north on Mercer Street. From Canal to the north, it becomes more Soho. And people really enjoy these large buildings where you could have these 2,000, 3,000 square foot lofts without any walls. And that's because they were formerly manufacturing buildings. So people prefer to live in those. And this is all part of the Chinatown neighborhood. Now, one of the unwritten rules is that like Canal Street kind of stays Chinatown. You can see all those beautiful buildings in the distance. Cobblestone streets, something very nice to have in New York. And as I said, this is right off of Canal Street, and Canal Street is like the Chinatown of New York. And then if we look from Mercer Street down to Canal Street, we see Canal Street. And we see the Chinatown. We're on Broadway and Canal, looking south. That tall building in the distance is the Woolworth building. Once one of the tallest buildings in the world. But you can see here, Canal Street, Canal, and Broadway, as I mentioned. Just a beautiful location, very quaint. They're doing a lot of work on repositioning some of the buildings. These buildings here, it's just the awnings are going to be in the process of being changed. Very old buildings. A lot of people are holding on to their property with the idea that there's going to be redevelopment going on. And again, now we're looking south, and then we'll be looking towards the east here on Canal Street. This is looking north on Canal and Broadway. This is the Broadway that goes from the very southern tip of Manhattan to the very northern tip of Manhattan. It was allegedly an old Indian trail. That's why it doesn't really go straight. It goes in a diagonal pattern through Manhattan. You can see the beautiful buildings that are around here. And that's what I think is in store for this corner, these corner buildings. Someone someday is gonna redevelop them into a beautiful tall building. It's just, I'm sure they don't know when. Now, here we're looking west on Canal Street. This is still Chinatown. You can see the McDonald's restaurant with the Chinese letters. As I was mentioning, there's always development going on. Like you can even see here on the corner, there's construction going on of a building. Now, remember what I said, how a lot of times when people are doing development, sometimes they have to think years ahead. Even though this construction is going on, it might not be ready until 2022, 23. So no one really knows. So a lot of the developers, they take a chance. And like all those other buildings that are there, those smaller buildings, they're probably either owned or going to be owned by a developer who is going to want to put up a much bigger building. And now this is looking east on Canal Street. Just amazing seeing everything around here. Such a vibrant area of New York. And if we look north, we see Lafayette Street. And here we're looking west on Canal Street. A little bit more of an elevation. More in the heart of Chinatown. Now, it's a little quiet due to the issues happening in 2020, but normally on a Saturday and Sunday in Chinatown, it is packed with people. This is one of the tourist destinations for people visiting New York. And there's all these quaint restaurants all around here. Just makes it really, really nice to visit Chinatown. We're at Mulberry and Canal Street. This is where Little Italy in New York begins. However, you might notice on the other side of the street, on the southern side of the street, it's still Chinatown. But then when you look at Mulberry and Canal, but if you look to the north, you actually see Italian restaurants, Italian businesses. It's very, very nice to see that. And then you can see here too, there's a sign that says, "Welcome to Little Italy." Now, here there's an informal agreement between Chinatown and Little Italy that the stores and businesses in Little Italy will stay like Little Italy. That's the alleged informal agreement. That makes sense too, because it benefits everyone. Like if you have Little Italy and Chinatown, you get a lot more tourists than if you just have Chinatown. So this is more the eastern edge of Chinatown. Still Chinatown, however, you know, Chinatown has its limits. You know, it can't go on forever, but it's still very nice around here. Very quaint. All along the side roads, you have these really great restaurants on the eastern edge of Chinatown. A lot of tourists love to come here just for the authentic Chinese cuisine in this part of Chinatown. Because as you might know, a lot of the restaurants that are in the United States that are Chinese restaurants, they're more Chinese food catering to American taste. In Chinatown, you actually have the restaurants that are authentic Chinese restaurants. You can see here all these other buildings that are here. And again, that street is Mulberry Street, where you see east-west. Now, this is Mott and Canal Street. This is another part of Chinatown that borders on Little Italy. Even though here you can see a number of these buildings have the Chinese names on it, it's still historically considered Little Italy on Mott Street. So you can see the other Chinese shops here. This is almost to the furthest eastern side of Chinatown. It's just beautiful around here. A lot of redevelopment has occurred and is still occurring. What we see here is pretty much the eastern edge of Chinatown. There's a beautiful bridge marking the eastern edge of Chinatown also. And we could even zoom in on where we came from. Canal Street kind of curved a little bit around, so you can't really see all of the original buildings where we were, but it was just beautiful walking along Canal Street. And as I mentioned, the side streets are really nice to see also. Very quaint with all the shops that are on the side streets. So this is one of the side streets in Chinatown. You can see all the cute little shops and the cute restaurants that are here. Really, really nice seeing everything. This is part of the New York experience, visiting Chinatown in New York.